When I think about Iron Man, I think about this iconic superhero that is all about turning the impossible into the possible. Sometimes they would encounter a situation where the Avengers can't achieve something, but Tony Stark doesn't take no for an answer. He finds a way to push past those limits and push past those boundaries. He's brash. He's cocky. He's arrogant. But the other thing about him I think that makes him special is that he finds a way to overcome injuries, whether they're personal, physical, or emotional. And I think that that could be a very rewarding experience for a player in Dungeons and Dragons at the table. So that's why we made this video. Hello there, I'm Jake from JNJtabletop, and if no one's told you Happy New Year yet, Happy New Year. So like we said in the intro, we're going to be talking about Iron Man, and this is another video in this kind of creating iconic characters series that I started. And we, at the time of this video being recorded, we already have the Captain America one up. But we're not limiting it just to, say, comic book characters. If you have a favorite character from like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones or really anything, I mean, I don't want to open up the door to like Rainbow Bright, although now I kind of imagine someone's going to ask that and I'm going to have to learn about Rainbow Bright. But we want to be able to help empower players to take a fantasy that they see and find mechanics and things and tools and resources that are already existing in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition and help them make that character so they can have some fun. Now, the goal of this series isn't to like make this carbon copy, because especially if you're going to have some like science fiction themes that may exist in some things out there, that doesn't necessarily always translate, but bonus points if you can. So why don't we get the elephant in the room out of the way? Obviously, Iron Man is going to be an armorer artificer. I mean, there really is not another option to do that, and you cannot possibly convince me that Wizards of the Coast did not make that subclass specifically designed to be Iron Man. So we're going to go into more details about some other ways to go about enhancing that experience, but you're going to be an armorer artificer. That's just where this is going to start, and we all know it. Just like Captain America, I kind of think that human, probably human variant, because you get access to a feat, is probably going to help fulfill that fantasy more than, say, some other races. But I don't think that the Iron Man fantasy is limited to some kind of race or lineage that really that doesn't strike me as all that important. So whatever you think is going to be fun is what I would recommend to you. But in terms of background, I think there is one that kind of stands out most, and that's probably noble. Now, I know Tony Stark doesn't come from nobility, but he is very wealthy. And I think maybe folk hero might have a little bit in there, guild artisan. I don't know, you might want to customize something there, but I think if you're just going to take one of the like standard backgrounds, I'm going to recommend noble. If you have a different opinion, let me know in the comment section. If you're using feats in your game, I think anything that's going to lean into intelligence is just going to enhance this feel for you. I mean, Tony Stark, that's probably his most signature trait, is he's very smart. So any feat that does that, like keen mind, linguist, these kinds of things, I think are going to help enhance that gameplay for you. Sharpshooter might be nice if you're going to lean into the lightning launcher. You want to give that a little extra oomph in your game. I think that's fine. I also think this might be a little out there. For some reason, I want to talk about the shadow touched feat, not because I think Tony Stark has like dabbled in the dark arts or anything like that, but I just sometimes one of his flaws may be that he does push the boundaries a little too far. And I think the shadow touched feat almost kind of represents a way of getting like forbidden knowledge or power. I don't know. I might be reaching a little bit on that, but for some reason I wanted to mention it. I actually also think it's worth considering Metamagic Adept. Sorcerers are normally the only class that has access to metamagic, but metamagic is all about breaking boundaries and limits and doing things you're not supposed to with your spells. Twin something, quicken something. That's totally something Iron Man would do. So what kind of equipment are you going to use if you're trying to give an Iron Man-like experience? Plate armor. Clearly, as soon as you get plate armor, that's what you do. And the way I would kind of flavor things is I would make it seem like my character was working on the armor every time there was a long rest, almost like a mechanic is working on something. And it would be this like runic slot system that, like, you're preparing different spells, or you're, trying to supercharge things with your spell slots, and, maybe instead of your infiltrator loadout, you're using your guardian. Whatever the case may be, it's all about rearranging these, like, I don't want to say mathematical equations, but I would very much lean into he's tinkering with how the laws of magic work, and I would represent that with runes, I think, on the armor. I feel like that would really do the trick. And for, say, magic items, I don't know if your dungeon master uses like the wish list, but I think if you can somehow find a way to get a ring of mind shielding, maybe that has a mind already trapped in it, that's that's kind of like your own personal Jarvis. And I wish I could say that was my idea, but Pruitt from WebDM, that was yours. And that was incredible. And I can't not say that and not reference who said that, because that would be amazing. The other item I would probably mention is like a ring of spell storing, particularly if you have a primary spellcaster that can do some funky things. And then maybe you could use your meta magic adept, because a ring of spell storing lets non-casters cast spells. And again, we're talking about breaking norms, breaking boundaries, breaking limits. And I think that just allows for a lot of creativity, and that is another main component of what the Iron Man like experience is. And I think that's just the way that would go. So I'd love to hear what your ideas might be about making an Iron Man like experience at the table, whether it's just a story or something that you might want to lean into, like a role-playing trope, or a mechanic that maybe I had forgotten to mention. Also, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up, because it does help appease Al Gore and keep him in rhythm. And of course, if you want to learn more about Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition tabletop role-playing games, or just laugh at our goofy intros, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, so you never miss an episode. All right? Thank you so much for watching. We love you, and we'll see you next time.